waiting on technology.
You're good.
All set? Right. Good morning. I'd like to open the, excuse me, we're trying to get started, thank you. I'd like to open the Door County Board of Supervisors meeting on Tuesday, October 26th at approximately 9 a.m. Please join me in a Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Everybody's here. Everyone present.
Got 21, so I'm not showing here. There you go.
Yeah, it must not show. Does it usually show on yours?
Yeah, I can
You're
use it
good.
too.
21 present.
Okay, we have 21 present. Presentation of the agenda.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Hold on. I'm a little behind today.
All right, we have a motion to second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Correspondence, unassigned fund balance. Is there any questions on that? Public comment?
Oh, you got one speaker.
Ken?
Okay, for individuals that'd like to speak, if you're online, you can raise your hand and then I can recognize you on the floor. If you are dialed in, you can hit *9. So again, I'll go through and see if anyone wants to speak. I do have one individual, Christine Reed. You have the floor and 3 minutes to speak. You're muted, you have to unmute yourself.
Christine Reed, Sleepy Hollow Drive, Forestville. I have a comment regarding the drawdown and the administrator's monthly report. The drawdown is complete. However, the effects of the drawdown remain. The completion date exceeded the scheduled date, which further demonstrates the lack of control over the water levels here and the sediment flushing throughout the entire drawdown. I want to speak on behalf of the fishermen that we have been visiting with. We get hundreds, if not thousands, of fishermen during spring and fall spawning seasons. And they are very upset and have relayed that to me to pass on to you and to the DNR on the conditions of the river due to the sediment that has flushed out of the mill pond. One of our visitors from Minnesota had to have a line thrown to him and pulled out. So they're angry. They're professional fishermen. They come every year and can see the difference. The local fishermen had the same concerns and observations. So the monthly report says that it's done. The sluice valve is closed. However, the effects of the drawdown continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? For the second time, is there anyone else who would like to speak? For the third and final time, anyone like to speak? Okay, we can continue. Yes.
Susan?
I would like to speak in public comment
Sure.
on something. I just want to share with the other supervisors and anyone else who might be listening in about a program they might be interested in on Saturday. It is sponsored by League of Women Voters, but it's on the topic of one of the services the county provides, and that's our new treatment court. It will begin at 9 at the Crest Pavilion, and there'll be refreshments. Then at 9:15, there will be a panel that will consist of Judge Weber, District Attorney Nordine, and Director of the Department of Health and Human Services, Joe Krebsbach, who will speak about our treatment court, how it got organized, how it's going, what its status is. Then there'll be a break, and then we will have two speakers who have participated in treatment courts. One woman who is a graduate of the Winnebago Treatment Court, and a man who is a graduate of the Brown County Treatment Court, who will speak about their experiences. So if anyone is interested, this might be something that you will find informational and a good thing to hear.
Okay, thank you. That it?
Yep, no one else has their hand raised, so we can continue.
Okay. We'll move on to any supervisor response. Number 8, approval of minutes of the September 21, 2021 regular meeting. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion, changes, deletions, grammatical remarks, other errors or corrections to be made? If not, by voice vote, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? County Administrator.
Sure, just give me 1 second. I'll have, actually Sue's online, so I'm gonna allow her to come on. Sue, you have to unmute yourself. Let me just get the PowerPoint up. Give me 1 second.
I think I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. And I have the slide presentation up on the screen.
All right, thank you very much. Next slide, please. So again, for perspective, the situation across the country continues with high disease activity level. There we go. And some of the states, other states are starting to see less disease activity level. So far not in Wisconsin yet. Our case counts across the state have plateaued but not declined yet. Delta variant remains the cause of virtually all cases in the state, and it's the most prevalent variant across the country too. Next slide, please. So in Door County, per state parameters, we're at very high COVID disease activity level. As you can see, most of the state is. What that means is we're averaging 12 cases a day. We're continuing to follow up with disease investigations and contact tracing. Isolation and quarantine are mitigation measures that continue to be state priorities. That is not going to change, I don't believe. Testing positivity rate. The 7-day testing positivity rate in the state is 7.8%. For us, it's a little higher, 11.4%. Hospitals are busy here and across the region. There have been a few more COVID inpatients in recent weeks. In August, we had 12 hospitalizations due to COVID in Door County residents, and in September, 15. The total number of hospitalizations in Door County residents since the beginning of the pandemic is 144. We added 1 death in September and so far 1 in October, for a total of 32 deaths in Door County residents since the beginning of the pandemic. And in September, for Door County, 27% of our cases were breakthrough cases. And breakthrough cases, again, are those that become ill with COVID after being fully vaccinated. And I don't believe this means that vaccinations are not working. It is rather an indicator of disease prevalence in our community, along with the transmissibility of the Delta variant. It's very good at spreading and infecting. And so we're right in line with the state, because statewide there are 4 times as many cases in those unvaccinated compared to those fully vaccinated. Across the state, the rate of hospitalization is 8 times higher in unvaccinated, and death is 18 times higher in vaccinated. What is happening in our community is similar to what is happening in the state as a whole. So this slide is Wisconsin data again. And the different colored lines represent different age groups. And you can see on the top there in the color key that less than 18 is that blue, dark blue color. And if you look back to the middle of the pandemic, that peak, you can see that less than 18 were the lowest age group, and then go over to the right to current times, and you can see that the burden of disease has shifted and is now in the youngest age group. And you know, what's happening here in Door County mirrors this. Next slide, please. In September, in the last month, this is Door County cases. Over 28% of the cases in recent weeks are in those less than age 18. And that number is way up from comparing to last year. So in September of this year, in the month of September, there were 105 cases total in Door County residents under age 18. That number is more than double from a year ago. In September 2020, that number was 48 cases in folks under 18 that live in Door County. And interestingly, K through 12 staff members in September of 2020, there were 17 cases. And this year there was less than that, 12 cases. I think that speaks to vaccination. And overall, cases in school-age kids are a huge challenge, particularly for schools. What we're seeing across the board is that household spread of COVID right now is almost a given. If somebody you live with has COVID, it would be a rare exception if you did not also get COVID. It is less common, but we have also tracked spread through close contacts at school or through school-related activities. Since June of 2020, Public Health has been meeting with school superintendents and leaders, including hospital representatives, on a regular basis, often weekly, and our public health nurses collaborate with school nurses on a daily basis regarding cases. Next slide, please. So the good news is on the vaccine front, statewide 56% of residents have received at least their first dose of vaccine. And in Door County, almost 73% of residents have gotten first doses. And it's not a competition, but we're second behind Madison-Dane County for that percentage. And it's hard to see the different age groups, the numbers, but so I will explain that just under 96% of those age 65 plus in Door County have received their first doses of vaccine. That's fantastic. And you can see it's almost a stair step going gradually down to the younger age groups. In regards to those under 18, the Pfizer vaccine for those ages 5 through 11 is going through the approval process and anticipated to be approved this week. We've already been able to order vaccine for that age group. For adults who received their primary vaccine series with Pfizer or Moderna, booster doses have been recommended for those over age 65 or residents of long-term care facilities, or for adults with underlying health conditions or at increased risk due to living situation or occupations. J&J boosters have been recommended also. The other thing the CDC added is that eligible individuals may choose which vaccine they receive as a booster dose, and some people may have a preference for the vaccine type they originally received, or you may choose to get a different brand boosters. So CDC's recommendations now allow for this type of mix and match dosing for booster shots. We have been very busy with vaccine clinics, both for flu and COVID. Please refer to our webpage for information about booster doses and our many upcoming vaccine opportunities. We have options including Brussels, Sturgeon Bay, Sister Bay, Washington Island. Our friends at EMS, Aaron LeClaire and crew, have again graciously allowed us to plan large drive-through clinics for booster doses at the Sturgeon Bay EMS building. And we're going to be doing that November 17th and 18th. We're going to be taking appointments for that. Clinics for the youngest age group, those 5 to 11, will be separate. That age group is getting a different vaccine formulation and dose, and out of an abundance of caution, we will keep those clinics completely separate. We continue to collaborate with Door County Medical Center and other Door County vaccine providers. Door County Medical Center will also provide vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds. We tentatively have clinic dates set for the week after next on Wednesday and Friday, and I believe Door County Medical Center is planning for their kids' vaccine clinic on that Tuesday of that week. So to conclude, unfortunately, I still need to say that with our current very high disease activity level, masking in indoor places, whether you're vaccinated or not, is still recommended. Large indoor gatherings, especially with those who are unmasked and where people do not stay distanced, creates high risk. So distancing, masking, hand washing, to be clear, are still all advised. And let's remember that as the weather turns cold, moving indoors gives the virus better opportunity to spread. These mitigation strategies, along with isolation when you're sick and quarantine when you're a close contact, are not going to be forever. What each of us does in this challenging time affects all of us. That's all I had prepared to talk about. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions of Sue? Susan?
As I'm understanding what you're saying about your clinics, people can mix and match their boosters starting now? Is that a fair statement?
That is, and to be technically correct, Susan, we are waiting and anticipating state approval of all that CDC clinical guidance today or tomorrow. We've put it out on our website like it's already a done deal because we think it is. But yes, that's what the CDC has said. And it's a little bit confusing because there's no clear, to me, it's truly just a preference or an idea to pick a different vaccine. I'm not sure why you would or wouldn't do that. There's no clinical preference for that kind of switching.
Sue, this is Dave. I have a quick question for clarification. When you talk about being able to choose whatever booster from whatever manufacturer, I think there's some confusion about the J&J. For the Moderna and the Pfizer, currently for the booster, it's 65 plus or immune compromised. But for the J&J, anybody who had the J&J, regardless of age, can go ahead and get the booster?
Yeah, you've
So
done
they
your.
could, so they could select Moderna or Pfizer regardless.
I believe so, yes. And for J&J, you're correct. You've done your homework. They don't spell out any age or health condition or situation. It's just they recommend it for everyone at least 2 months after they receive that initial dose of Johnson & Johnson.
Okay, thank you. Nissa?
Thank you. Morning, Sue. Quick question, with more schools requiring masking at least through the middle school age and stuff, have you seen any, at least a slight decline on positive cases in the school, or is it about the same, or what are we looking at?
Yeah, I gave you the numbers for September. For October so far, it has not changed a lot. And Nissa, I'm not sure how aware everyone is. Schools have changed their mask parameters in the last few weeks. School boards are choosing to reverse mask mandates. I believe Sevastopol went to optional masking. I think Sturgeon Bay is still doing the masking.
They are.
Yeah, and schools are also choosing to have different parameters for quarantine than what is recommended by CDC, DHS, and Door County Public Health. Sevastopol and Southern Door have chosen, and I may not have the parameters exactly right, but they are choosing to allow kids who are close contact to return to school, whether they are vaccinated or not, which would be not what we recommend. We would ask that all close contacts who are not vaccinated not attend school and remain in quarantine. And you know, they're really having a challenge with so many kids out with quarantine. What public health and the CDC and the DHS are advocating for is to, you know, really use those layers of mitigation and start with universal masking because it has been proven in many studies to be such an effective measure. And to begin with that, and then add layers. What's happened is the schools are experiencing more cases, so in an effort to deal with that, they're removing the mitigation layer of quarantine.
Morgan?
Thank you. Susie had asked my question about boosters, so thank you for clarifying that. But I do want to relay, I got a lot of high praise for you and your whole team for the efficiency of the drive-through flu and COVID clinic. So a lot of people were really impressed. A lot of people were really excited that that was offered. So I just want to relay that that was really well done. So thank you for doing that for our community.
Thank you so much.
Dave Engelbert?
Yes, Sue, I'd also like to thank you for doing a clinic down in Brussels. I think it was last week. Been kind of asking for one in that area for a long time. My understanding it was well attended by people from throughout Southern Door and even people from our neighbors in Gewanee County that went there for vaccination too. So thank you.
Thank you, and please know that we're going back to the Brussels, the Bug Fire Station Tuesday, November 9th from 2 to 4:30 to do another round of the same drive-through clinic with flu and COVID.
Any more questions for Sue? All right. No more questions, Sue. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, did you want to do the video?
No, you're still on your.
Oh, okay, sure. Then just finishing off my report under monthly operations, again, that's included as far as the staff memo. I think there's two items of interest just to point out. Is obviously on the West Side School, we did attend a groundbreaking, or actually what they didn't do a groundbreaking, they did a sledgehammer hitting of the walls. The walls are super solid. They did not even hardly do anything. So
There was like 15 people with sledgehammers banging on this wall, and we couldn't even dent a quarter of an inch.
Nope.
So however they made that building, they really made it well.
So.
And little side note, I had to laugh because I was asked to say something. Can't help me write it, of course. I'm walking up the steps to the school, and I was reminded that 65 years ago, a 5-year-old boy was walking up those steps, and it was me to go to kindergarten. And that was in the school where the boys went in one entrance and the girls went in a separate entrance, and then they had classes separate, except for kindergarten, they were mixed. So, but anyway, just it was a fun little thing to kind of walk up those steps and remember. Wow. So, anyway.
Anyway, so that's a very neat project. With the start, they're looking at about a 9-month window as far as the project before they'll be done. So anyways, it'll be interesting to see what it finally looks like when it's all done. Other item just for interest is this an update on a campus study. I guess I would consider what we're doing is we're doing a special meeting next week between Facilities and Parks and the Library Board. Just want to make sure making sure we have everyone on the same page. So that meeting's occurring next week, so we can get that taken care of in that sense. So it got pushed back a little bit in terms of the project timeline, but we're looking, obviously, to bring that forward. After we get through that process, we'll do some public informational meetings, and we'll bring it all the way back through the committee structure and obviously through the county board. So, oops, and then
Alexis?
Thank you. I meant for after the report. I just had a question on your redistricting for the operational. It does say complete. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more? I saw that the legislature released maps, and I thought that has to come back to county board.
correct.
Maps
So
too, right?
I put it down as complete because the committee work is all done. So the committee actually met last week. We got the final ward maps in. We accepted though, or not really accepted them, but we reviewed them, and now we finalized the map. So we'll be doing a public hearing on the 9th for our final maps, and then we'll do adoption at that point.
November 9th?
Yep.
That's the same as the budget?
Yes, correct. Okay.
Yep.
Then the other one is just an update on the diversity, equity, inclusion. Again, if you recall, we kind of had a work plan, and I just wanted to give an update of kind of where we're at. So as part of the work plan, there's two aspects. One is I'll do the internal. So our phase one for the internal was to do what we consider just some baseline employee training. That was scheduled now through end of October. We have completed that using what we call our NeoGov. We have our software package that we use allows us to do online training, and we assign that to all the employees within the organization. We do have a few that are still outstanding, but for the most part, I would consider it's about 95% complete with all that initial baseline training. With that going forward, then we're kind of transitioning into what we call the phase two in terms of our internal work. And what we're doing is we're going to be doing what we call an internal assessment of our operations. And again, we're kind of using a template that's been done by Health and Human Services. They kind of did this process about 6 months ago in terms of doing just an initial assessment of their services. So we're going to be doing that organizational wide. Again, we're not reinventing the wheel. There are some, standard templates that they were able to find that they're using. So again, for our phase two implementation, we're looking at doing this, internal assessment through the end of the year. And then we'll get those results in, and we'll have to go through and analyze those. Once we have that portion done, then at the beginning of the new year, we will then look at doing an external assessment. But again, we're following that work plan that I presented a few months back to the county board and also to the administrative committee. So that's internal. Externally, again, I've been working with a group to, try to, what I consider been moving the needle. And I can give you an idea of some of those individuals that have been involved. Again, it's been very open in terms of trying to make sure the right people, initially are involved with the process. So I can just give you some of the areas if you're interested, but we have Destination Door County, we have representations from the faith community, Door County Economic Development, the Door County Medical, the Community Foundation, Amy from United Way. I do have the schools involved as well. We have the YMCA, we have Help of Door County, the Sunshine House. Then we also have some staff internally. We also have PFLAG involved, the Gibraltar Schools, Lawrence University, NWTC, both campuses. So we have a really broad representation. And again, if you can imagine this group, we're into our third meeting, is really trying to, understand what their role is and what we should do as a community. The one thing that there is a probably clear consensus is that they know or they feel that they're obviously not the group to, really truly lead this charge. You need to get the right individuals sitting at the table. So that's one of the things in terms of where we're at right now. We're trying to write up a scope of work of what this group is going to try to accomplish. And then also too, we're also working on what we consider, the scope of work that we would, it's undetermined whether we put that out as a request for services or try to find an expert in the area. There's been several communities that have done this, but maybe have someone come in that would actually go through the process of trying to do an assessment of the county and try to get the proper individuals involved. And then through that work that individual firm would do, then they could report back to this group, and then we could determine on where to go forward. So that's where it stands right now. I'm hoping to try to get a meeting set up for November, where we can review, the scope of work of the group itself, and then the scope of work potentially for a study. In terms of how that study would be funded or anything like that has not been discussed. Obviously, we're trying to, the best way to say it is we're trying to at least get the scope of work done first, see what that is, what the cost would be, and then determine if everyone would contribute to that study or how that would move forward. So that's kind of where things are in relation to this process. So I don't know if there's any questions in regards to that update. Okay.
Morgan, there is.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Can you just explain a little bit the internal assessment versus external assessment with this? The employee training seems a little bit more self-explanatory, but what does it look like for a staff person? Are they gonna be, is it like a series of questions? Is it department heads only? What does this look like?
No, so for the internal assessment, it'll be almost like a survey.
Okay,
And what we'll be doing is we'll be surveying our employees just in terms of their operations. So it's going to be, I guess, some self-reflection in terms of, and again, there'll probably be two parts because we talked about it as the committee. So when you're taking a survey, are you taking a survey on behalf of your department, or are you taking it on behalf of you thinking about the organization globally? So I think we haven't finalized it yet, but we're probably gonna have two parts to it. One would be is what do you feel your department's doing in terms of its operations, but then also globally, what do you think of the organization itself in terms of its operations, in terms of that assessment? So that would be the goal in terms of how we do that.
okay, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? If not, that completes the report.
Okay, we're going to move down to special reports. As most of you are aware, the NWTC update will not be held at this particular meeting.
I don't know if they're aware of that.
Well, they're not, okay. So NWTC will not be presenting today. We'll not get an update from them.
It's rescheduled for March.
March. Next was the 18th Jindazen International Ceramic Fair. We were asked as a sister city to provide a video for their opening ceremony. The 18th annual fair started on October 18th, and so we're just going to show you a brief video that we had made that was shown at their opening of the art fair, or the ceramic fair.
Door County for summers to work and explore Door County. We look forward to these exchanges resuming after the pandemic. It is my sincere belief that the relationship between Jindazen and Door County will deepen in ceramics, cultural tourism, education, commerce, and other aspects and continue long into the future. I myself have had the opportunity to travel to Jindazen twice, in 2016 and 2018, for the International Ceramic Fair. I cherish the friends and experiences from those visits.
As you could tell, I speak in English, but I write in Chinese. That was, so it was about a 2.5 or 3 minute video, but we just wanted to give you a little snippet what was going on. We had a video conference with them probably about a month ago now, Grant, where they spoke about trying to foster the relationship again. They've kind of given up on 2022 as anything happening in 2022, but they hope by 2023 that the world is kind of back in order after this pandemic, and they would like to continue to move forward with the relationship at that point in time. So, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer it. Pending business and updates, resolutions, and memorandum of Michael Walker. I will read this one. This is my district where Michael resided in. A memorandum of Michael Walker to the Door County Board of Supervisors, whereas Michael Walker passed away on October 17th, 2021, and whereas Supervisor Walker was first elected to the Door County Board of Supervisors and served from April 1982 through April 1984. And whereas Supervisor Walker represented District 17, including the town of Liberty Grove, Ward 2, and the village of Sister Bay. And whereas Supervisor Walker served on several committees, including data processing, resource planning, and ambulance study committee. And whereas Supervisor Walker also served as chairman of the data processing committee. Now therefore be it resolved that the County Board of Supervisors assembled in regular session this 26th day of October 2021 extend our sincere sympathy to the family of Michael Walker with his acknowledgement of his dedication to the citizens of the County of Door. I'll make the motion. I'm sorry, we have the motion already. By voice vote, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you. Resolution 2021-76, authorize application for and acceptance of financial assistance for launch and boat docking replacement at George K. Penney County Park. Mr. Ostead.
Yes, the docks at Penney Park need to be replaced, and we're applying for a grant of $190,000 from the DNR, and half of it has to be covered by Door County, and Door County has that money in their facilities to cover that.
Any questions?
Any questions?
All right, since it's involves money, we will go to the voter board. That's passed by a vote of 21 yea, 0 nay. Thank you. Resolution 2021-77, a mandatory resolution, amendment of Resolution 2021-69, pre-order of vehicles and accessory equipment for the Highway and Airport Department. Dave Engelbert?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve this resolution, 2021-77. It seems after last month, the highway commissioner went back to the companies furnishing the equipment, and they said they could no longer honor the contract, so they came back for a increase of, I believe, about 75,000 on the total package, and that was our means of guaranteeing, I guess, as close as we can say guarantee, furnishing the equipment this year.
Any questions? If not, we'll go to the voter board. Does this require 2/3?
Yes.
It's passed on a vote of 20 yea, 1 nay. Thank you. Resolution 2021-78, committee appointments. On the committee appointments, I want to add one for the Economic Development Committee. That will be Dale Vogel. We have a motion and a second by voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Ordinances. First is a report amendment to the zoning map of Liberty Grove. Dave, I'm sorry. Yeah, Dave Enigal.
Accept this report on amendment to zoning map of Liberty Grove, Doherty.
Okay. Any explanation, Dave?
It's basically the department head is here as well, Mariah. It actually reduces the amount of activity that can happen on the land, but then allows them to put a structure up there that would not have been allowed at the original zoning map. Just a larger storage building than they had would have been allowed at the original zoning designation.
Okay. Any questions? Since it's a report, it will be by voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ordinance 2021-12, amendment to the zoning map of Liberty Grove for Daughtery. Dave Enigal?
Chairman, I make a motion to adopt a zoning amendment 2021-12, amendment to the zoning map for Liberty Grove, Doherty.
Any questions? All right, this is an ordinance, so we'll go to the voter board. I'm sorry, Alexis?
Thank you. For this, I just have a question because it looks like the remainder of the parcel is going to be wetland, and I heard that they want to put a structure on it. So are we allowing them to put a structure in a wetland? Okay.
It's a small portion of the land that would not be wetlands.
Can you re-say that, Dave? We can't hear you.
No, any structure would not be allowed in the wetlands. It's to basically allow a small portion of lands that is not wetlands to allow for structure on there.
Going back to the map on page 18, and it looks like that parcel is either natural area or wetland, so I appreciate the clarification. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. We go to the voter board. That's passed on the vote of 21 yea, 0 nay. Next is a report amendment to the zoning map of Sevastopol, Pesci. Dave Enigal?
Accept the report as presented.
Any questions? By voice vote, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ordinance 2021-13, amendment to the zoning map of Sevastopol. Pesci. Dave Enigo?
And I make a motion to accept the zoning map ordinance, to adopt zoning map ordinance 2021-13.
Are there any questions?
There's some confusion if you look at the way the ordinance is written. If you understand the way the zoning is done, those lot sizes require minimum of 10 or 5 and 10. The confusion might be, if you look at the map, is while the actual space that's Heartland 5 zoning rate designated, the total lot will be larger than 5 acres, which is including a portion of land that is wetlands and that would not be rezoned. And the same thing with the CS, a large portion of that lot is wetlands. So the total lot acreage meets the minimum requirement, but the buildable, the space related to the actual zoning is less than the perceived minimum requirement.
Okay. Any questions or clarification? We'll go to the voter board. Has passed on a vote of 21 yea, 0 nay. Thank you. Special reports are complete. New business. The new business item has been withdrawn from the agenda. Are there any oral committee reports? Any review of committee minutes? Review of vouchers, claims, and bills? The announcements, besides the next regular county board meeting of November 9th and 10th if necessary, at 9 a.m. is, this was passed out. This is the evaluation for the administrator. We'll do it like we did last year. These will all be privately held. They'll come back to me personally, individually. No one else will receive them or see them. So please do these as soon as you can and send them back. Medium per diem code is 1026. A motion to adjourn would be in order.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you, everyone.